Sister wants me to pay for her daughter's wedding, so I work twice as hard. But then they both make fun of my work, and I decide to not pay anything. My sister came to me absolutely begging me to help pay for her daughter's wedding. Well, you know what? I'm the only one who is really in a position to be able to help, and it won't hurt me to help, so why not give some money for it? But then I found out a secret about, well, my sister and her little daughter. My husband is deceased. I met my husband on a dating site when I was 20. I logged on and there was this super cute face. I clicked and saw he lived 1,700 miles away. Well, I clicked right away because what's the point? A few days later, I decided what's the worst that can happen. And I sent a message, and he replied within a week. We were talking every day, and in a month it was 3 times a day on Skype. He lived in Texas, I lived in California. I flew to see him a few months later, and he flew to see my family a few months after that. I flew out once more and stayed forever. We got married a year after we met, and still live with his parents. We never had kids because he was pretty volatile and paranoid all the time when the kids were with him. After our wedding, he wanted to get into a hobby that was fun, interesting and social, and could make us some extra money. He had always liked custom-modified cars with good taste, so he got a car and worked on his car modification skills at home in our little garage. Then he started working on more cars, providing more and more modifications for friends and local enthusiasts. He had friends with mechanical skills and a place where get his parts very cheap. After many years of hard work, he built some reputation in town for his expertise and quality work. So he started joining these Facebook groups for car meetups he would go to these events and meet a lot of people who were into cars. At that point, he focused on building a small but loyal customer base and made around $50,000 doing it for big jobs. He rented a 2-car garage outside the city. For about $50 a month, the demand grew, and he focused on specializing in high-end and luxury sports car modifications. It was a lot of work for him, and I wanted to relieve some of his stress, so I would cook for his favorite dishes. I made sure the house was clean. I tried to make it go for walks. I would bring him food, snacks, and water, etc. We had 9 wonderful years together until he died suddenly of a heart attack, completely out of the blue. I don't know, a minute he was telling me to sleep. And the next thing I heard a loud noise, and I sat up alone to see him slumped in front of the desk. The paramedics worked on him for almost an hour until they came to tell me he was gone. So after that, I fell into a dark hole, and well, I got out of it. Although it was a strange feeling how I had to end my life without him. I mean, I missed him a lot. I did. And I had moments of anger and pain. But I kept going. I also immersed myself in work. I reached out to my husband's network of professionals and clients, and started watching car channels on YouTube. I even attended workshops and learned from many internet forums. My biggest fear in taking on was failing and ruining my longtime husband's business. Always would question me if I was making the right decision, or if I was ruining his legacy and keeping his dream alive, was probably the biggest challenge. I gradually took on more responsibilities. The business was already successful, so I didn't try to reinvent the wheel. I just kept making small changes over time to offer better services. Although it's not as successful as it once was, I still keep the shop profitable and currently do all the work myself, modifications, maintenance, whatever. Modifying cars is hard, but it taught me a lot, and I've made so many lifelong friends with other car enthusiasts over the years. It's very rewarding to go through a sports car from start to finish and add your own personal touches all over it without ruining the character of the car. Plus, it's also financially amazing. However, my sister Reichel would always ask me, why do people like to change things in their vehicles or a car? It's only used to get from point to point B. Why do people spend money on that? Why they try to turn their car into something that's not? Why you want to lift so much weight? Why are you doing it? It already looks good enough. Don't screw it up. They are made to be the way they are. I never understood why he cared so much about what people did with his property. Despite this, he always prayed. I have tried to maintain a peaceful relationship with her when we were kids. We were not treated equally, nor were we held to the same standards by our parents. I was always expected to be a hard-working, responsible girl and make the right decisions, but Reichel was encouraged to have fun, and our parents would bail her out whenever she made an irresponsible decision, for example, when she was just doing bad at school or something like that. They would just pay tutors to do her homework. But if she really had difficulties in a subject, they would tell me to figure it out on my own when I was 18. Reichel had an affair with my then-boyfriend while we were still together, and my parents never really held her accountable for her actions. Soon she decided to marry him privately in my family. We have the term baby oops. For unplanned family members, this should be a sign that my family sucks. I was a baby oops. And so was my niece Olivia because of my parents' favoritism. I'm honestly closer to my husband's parents than my own. When my husband passed away, they told me I would always have a place with them. I call them mom and dad, and will be like that for the rest of my life. The immediate acceptance and love I received from them just made me love them 1,000,000 times more than anything I ever felt for my own family. I'm so lucky to take care of them in their old age. Fast forward to now last fall, Olivia announced her engagement to her soulmate Chris. Overall, a great guy, respectful, loyal, trustworthy, and humble. I couldn't be happier. I watched her grow into a young adult and shared a lot of time with her. I love her, and see her as my own daughter as a child. She didn't have much. So every time I visited her, I would try to pamper her the best way I could. Especially as business picked up. I did everything I could to support her and even started a fund for her recently to help her pursue her chosen master's degree. Early spring, she announced the date and location of her dream wedding, and I was thrilled nothing for her. I have been helping her plan things since she only had about 9 months until the wedding day. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Chris lost her job in her apartment 7 months before the wedding day, and she couldn't find a way to get a new job that didn't require her to move. So Reichel asked me to help pay for the wedding. Neither she nor her husband have jobs, and although she is on a program PhD, are living on some of her research funds, which is not enough to live on. She has never worked a day in her life, and is currently residing in an apartment that his parents are paying for. Olivia has not graduated yet. My parents have several health issues and have no savings, and cannot help financially at all. So I agreed to go ahead and pitch in together with Chris's parents to pay for the wedding. You know, nothing too expensive or extravagant. But we all agreed. It was a nice gift for the newlyweds to start their life together. I was taking on more projects even when it meant I was exhausted. I worked tirelessly to save up for the dream wedding. My niece wanted the venue required a small deposit, a payment 6 months before the wedding date, and then a down payment final. One day before the wedding, the venue is owned by a friend of Rachel's. So he agreed. The first 2 payments were made by me and Chiz's parents. As scheduled, I paid the main costs. Specifically the venue chairs, tables, linen rentals, Catherine service, and an open bar. The Catherine bill was due at the time of the final count. The rentals were due on delivery, and the bar bill was due at closing of the bar, a few days before the wedding day. We were having dinner at my parents' house. Rachel, my brother-in-law, Olivia, Chiz, my aunt, and my older cousin were there. My aunt was asking Rachel about the wedding, and Rachel said everything was going as planned, and then casually laughed and said to Olivia, "Let's hope the wedding doesn't end up looking like your aunt's car modifications." Well, I was completely stunned. I laughed, and Olivia laughed too, like it was some kind of inside joke. I was in shock. Olivia was never like that. I don't know, it just happened. So fast I got up and started yelling at Rachel. But my parents told me to calm down, and Rachel said, "Calm down. It was just a joke," and that she didn't think she would react so intensely. My dad said I was being too harsh. I actually mean that a joke, right? And that I know that's how she is with her dark sense of humor. My brother-in-law and my aunt. But they sat there, and my cousin asked me to calm down. Drink some water. But I just grabbed my stuff and walked out. I heard a big commotion as I was walking out of there too, and Chris and my cousin followed me outside to try to talk to me. But you know what? I just wanted to be left completely alone the next day. I was in my garage and Rachel, Olivia, and Cheese came and saw me working, my skin sweaty, oily, and greasy. Well, Rachel and Olivia giggled and called my job a waste of time. They called my clients clowns and said this job is terrible, dirty, and difficult. Chris tried to stop them and make them apologize for everything they said. But Reichel continued saying that I am a woman and that car modifications are men's jobs, and that it is disgusting that women want working on cars. Chiz stood up for me and said obviously it's a woman's job because a woman is doing it. Look, she replied that a woman can't perform the same as a man. She can live up to mental work, sure, as easily as a man, but absolutely not when it comes to something physical. Chris asked her what the hell was wrong with her, and he told her off saying that I was the one funding the wedding. Her answer was, It's not like I'm going to go back on my promise because of an opinion. I didn't want to give her the pleasure of me having a reaction to that. So I let it go. I spent the next few days pretending everything was fine. During the rehearsal dinner, which was yesterday, I overheard the conversation. "Yeah, this place really sucks." "Well, who orders a steak at a place like this?" "Really, who chooses a place like this for a pre-wedding dinner?" "Well, you should blame your aunt. She insisted that it had to be the perfect setting for a pre-wedding gathering." "Oh, the only thing scarier than this steak is the idea of blaming her for it. She gets offended by almost everything I say. She should learn to be a good little maid." You know what, that was too much for me. I took Olivia somewhere private and told her. I heard what she just said about me being her good little maid. I don't appreciate her joke, and it wasn't funny. And I felt like she humiliated me. She got angry and started yelling things like, "I have a whole pre-wedding event waiting for me there. Who do you think you are to bring me here and waste my time? It's a joke." "Don't be such an idiot." She accused me of ruining the event and started yelling at the top of her lungs. She walked back to the event, and I just stood there. When I got back, everyone was looking at me, and Olivia was sobbing in her dad's arms. He proceeded to yell at me, telling me that I ruined the event and made a scene. Then Rachel said that the coordinator had just called her and told her that the owner wanted the final payment if she wanted the doors to be unlocked to the place she assumed that I had already paid, and asked me why I hadn't yet. Well, I told her that the offer of money had been made and that I wouldn't give another cent. She freaked out and said, I would be an idiot to not keep my promise. When I reminded her of the things I had said, she dismissed it as jokes and accused me of being mean. My mom told me to be a better person and said that I was being incredibly selfish and bitter. I told them that I was sick of being treated like I couldn't do my job. It's infuriating. And in there, most of them don't like me because they see that I have a lot of male friends and I get along better with men than with women. They think I'm an overly ambitious person, Chris. He apologized for Olivia and asked if she would consider giving them 0. 0. I said no. Rachel was crying and said this would ruin his daughter's wedding. He wanted me to reconsider my decision, as it would hurt my relationship with Olivia. But I refused. She kept crying and begging for the funds, but I told her no. Olivia got really cold and said, "You always brag about having a good memory. I hope you remember this moment." I told her, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you. It's just stupid to make fun of me all the time, and then suddenly expect me to happily throw this money at you." My brother-in-law got visibly upset, but after getting stares from the guests, he said he just had to pay for the venue. I told her I wouldn't give anything for her daughter's wedding. She then joined the chorus of insults. She called me everything, and also involved her parents in it. Rachel. She then made another comment about my career. Everyone laughed. I felt humiliated. She was laughing too. And then she continued, and I felt like crying and screaming at the same time. It was a rage and sadness I had never experienced before. After her speech, I spoke. I simply replied, "Sister, a quick reminder that you have achieved nothing in your life without mom or dad holding your hand. As soon as you do, you can criticize my work. As you have, you were true." She of course felt offended and started making a fuss. My parents and some other relatives said my response was cruel and completely out of character. But my husband's family said she brought it on herself after calling me names first. Throughout the evening, they continued to make these negative comments, which were mostly directed at my in-laws. I could see that my in-laws were getting upset. I explained to them that I would not tolerate them talking to my in-laws like that. Rachel then said that I really don't know anything about cars and that I only make cars worse and bring shame to my husband's honorable status. I got so angry that I told her that I had never worked a day in my life and that I was an incompetent parasite. She replied that if only she had helped my husband with his work, I would still be alive. At this point, I just decided to go stay with my in-laws. Apparently, Chris had a huge fight with Rachel that night and broke up with Olivia because she took her mom's side. He called off the wedding and Olivia is absolutely devastated. I really feel sorry for her, so I contacted the venue and they were really nice and offered a refund, but it will take a couple of business days before the refund is processed. Today I texted Olivia that I would no longer be responsible for funding her education. Rachel kept trying to call and then text saying I can't do this to her. Now our parents are involved and they are pressuring me to help her. My mom tried to get me to go talk to her, saying Olivia didn't deserve me turning my back on her like that. Once again, I told her I couldn't afford it with my maid's salary, remember? Oh, and she said, if Reichel called me a maid, she would laugh and admit that that is pretty accurate after saying this. I yelled at her and told her that there is a big difference between affectionate teasing and blatant meanness. I don't mind good-hearted teasing, but they should know what lines not to cross and what constitutes sensitive issues. I really don't know what I'm asking for. Am I overreacting? Or should I have just agreed to make the final payments? Well, my in-laws are fine with it, since it's my money. But my friends don't support my actions, and told me I should have stick to what we agreed. Part of me feels they are right, and I am going against my word. But part of me finds it hard to see the humiliation as just a joke. Anyway, guys, thanks for reading until here, waiting for any comments you can provide. Update. Hi. Everyone, I didn't expect to come back here and get so much support. I really didn't plan on updating at all. I just wanted to put what happened behind me and share it here, in hopes to get some advice after writing everything. I closed my computer and fell into some kind of depressive spiral after posting it. It hit me like a train. So I'll try to respond more in the post. Honestly, it was too much to try to do everything at that time. Just know that I read most of the comments. I really appreciate all the opinions, both negative and positive. So Olivia called me today and started to rant, saying that I was affecting her education and that she couldn't do that. This is my family, my niece, and her future, and I told her that they have absolutely no idea what it's like to work and have to pay for everything, or what it's like to work hard and having to support someone who treats you badly. Literally, I'm giving hours of my life to pay for someone who thinks so little of me. Then she got mad and said she didn't care at all. So I replied to her, well, these are the consequences of your actions. You can't treat me terribly and then want me to put on a 0. 0 smile laugh for you. All of a sudden, you now have 2 years free for losing your dream show to think about how to treat someone like less than human is not a good life strategy. Wow. I don't blame her completely for her actions. She is very, very, very alone, and she is a completely isolated child. It's not an easy house to grow up in, and Reichel can't be a good mother. Well, Olivia is talented, she is an artist, but she doesn't have an open space to express herself at all. She worships the ground her mama walks on, and does exactly what her mom wants me to do. Rachel to this day. She has not apologized to me. I really was, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I can't stop thinking that my husband's death was my fault. My mother-in-law assured me and said it was no one's fault. My mother-in-law is so sweet and loving. Unlike my mom, my father-in-law is much more laid back and less judgmental than my own father. We differ a little on politics and religion, but I am blessed to have them in my life. Anyway, I miss my husband a lot. I miss staying up late talking and having date nights at home. I miss going out and asking for things for each other, to try different things. I really miss him. It's been over 10 years. But I still cry occasionally. I have a day or two every year where he's all I can think about, and I feel this huge longing and ache in my heart. It still feels like an open wound update. Too many thanks for replying and taking the time and for the advice. Reichel called me and said that Olivia wanted to come visit me for a few weeks to rebuild our relationship, and I told him it was okay with me if she wanted to visit. But then it turns out she wants to bring her boyfriend. She's 44. I thought, are you kidding me? But I wasn't kidding at first. I said no. Flat out. But after about a week of talking, I gave in with one condition. I said, if this guy stays at our house, I'll ask him questions he might not like. I wanted to know what kind of questions. So I gave him some very specific, how did you guys meet? Who made the first move? If it was the guy who made the first move, it's weird. The guy has been married, has kids. Why is he dating such a young woman? What is the end goal here? A serious relationship, a marriage they have discussed. What will happen if Olivia gets pregnant? I know I'm not Olivia's mom, right? And we are not on good terms. But no one else in her family is asking these tough questions. Reichel is perfectly fine with the relationship, which baffles me. So fast forward to Olivia visiting, and the older guy shows up. I'm cordial. Wait until evening, and after everything is set up and dinner is over, I invite the guy to join me on the porch for drinks. You know, just me and him. Then he starts asking my questions after just my second question. The guy starts getting very, very defensive. He told me this was none of my business. Well, I got a little mad. I told him he was staying at my house for a week. Can I ask him some questions? And the girl is my niece. I am not out of place here. He told me I was making him uncomfortable, so I told him I was uncomfortable having a man who was clearly taking advantage of a young girl in my house. You can answer my questions and act like you are a decent guy, or feel free to go to hell. Well, Olivia left, and her parents are upset with me and said I acted like an idiot, and if Olivia is happy, she should let it go again. They told me it was none of my business and have since broken up. Which I'm glad. I'm not sure if my actions were the cause of it. I asked my questions in the order written, and only asked him the first two, before it got so awkward. Anyway, I'll keep you updated. Update 3. Hi. So I talked to Olivia this morning and she and I are completely okay. I knew my actions came from wanting to keep her safe. I asked her why they broke up and turns out the guy was cheating on his wife. He confessed to her and said to get a divorce because she has 3 kids, all her age or older. Yes, she left him. Then she asked me why I was so against her and her parents to the point that I couldn't even pay for their education. I asked her, how could I expect her to be okay with my sister making fun of me along with her daughter who was born from an affair with my ex-boyfriend? After that, Olivia went quiet the rest of the afternoon and left early. So later, I got a call from Reichel yelling at me for ruining her family. Apparently she and my brother-in-law didn't even bother to tell Olivia what they did to me, and now she knows about it. And she's so mad at them that she decided to go live with her best friend's family. That's right, she wants to leave them. I'm starting to feel guilty for telling her the truth, since it affected her more than I thought. But at the same time, she's old enough to know the truth, and I don't think I would have been able to lie to her face. Even if I wanted to update 4, I decided to listen to some of her advice, and I texted Olivia. I asked her if she would like to meet up and have a conversation about everything that happened, because like they said, she deserves some answers. So I met up with she, and I told her about my relationship with her mom, and went into detail about the infidelity and her birth. I got over everything she asked me. She then told me everything her parents told her about me. Apparently, they told her that around the time she was born, I had a miracle baby named Olivia, who died in the hospital, and since they share the same name, I held some resentment towards her, while showing affection outwardly. I am still processing what she told me. Guys, needless to say, there was a lot of crying involved, and apologies on both sides. Olivia said she is better now, and that she knows the truth, and that her best friend and her family have been an amazing support system to help her get through this. I decided I would do my best to be more involved in her life. She agreed and said she also wanted to get to know me better. I told her she could reach out to me whenever she wanted, so she would have someone to talk to about how she was doing and someone to support her hobbies. I even told her my garage is open and explained how it worked. She loved it and said she wanted to work for me, so she announced at the family meeting that she had decided to take a job at my shop. Rachel was shocked and was not okay with what was said. Your aunt's job is to make a car look stupid and sound like fart. You want that as your career, honey. Everyone laughed, but Olivia told them they are idiots who don't understand that people have different tastes. Reichel went to the garage the next day. He saw that she was learning things, and sometime after he told her he hired brilliant engineers. He paid them a lot of money to build the NSX to be as perfect as it is, and you are lazy. Happily you screwed it up, Olivia replied. What's up? And hired brilliant engineers. But they also hired a marketing team, and a bunch of people gave the engineers crazy requirements and told them not to do a lot of cool things. The situation got worse at home. Her parents and grandparents were trying to steer her into a specific field, but she didn't want it. I know her, and she's not going to do well. They told her that either she does what she is told, or they will withdraw support, and effectively she would be without home. My mom was a bad mother to me, and I recognized the same thing that was going on with Rachel and Olivia. Both my mom and Rachel are horrible to their accidental children. Olivia showed up at my house crying and asked me if she could stay with me. She explained that her and her mom had a massive argument and she can't stand to be around her right now. I said yes, of course, but that I would have to talk to her parents about it, so I got in contact with Reichel, and we talked on the phone. I asked her if it was okay for Olivia to stay with me. I let her know I have no problem with that. She argued with me that everything was fine and she didn't need my help. So I argued with her that I didn't think it was okay how I was responding to the situation. She screamed at me to mind my own business. Olivia stayed with me last weekend, and we had a lot of fun together. She told me that she wanted to live with me permanently, I told her that I will support her to tell Rachel to go home, and I will support her. Her parents are obviously upset, and Reichel is upset that I am butting into the family dynamic, and she said that I am just giving Olivia what she wants, and I am setting her up for a future of failure, that separating a mother from her daughter is the worst thing I can do. They tried over and over to tell Olivia that her aunt is not a good person, but she told them to go home. So I told her that she could stay with me as long as she wanted anyways. We bought a new mattress, bedding, a rug, a desk, a chair, and some decorations for her new room to make the space more hers. My two closest friends. Well, they are at the store, and they got here a year ago. Our, with many bags of stuff, are all in Olivia's room now, going through clothes, shoes, hair products, soap, lotions, potions, perfumes, whatever. Young women like these two women are some of my closest friends for a reason. One is a hairstylist, and she told Olivia that if she decides she wants a haircut or color, she just has to let her know. My younger cousin is also flying in and coming on Thursday and will be staying with us until the end of May, so I'm sure having her here will also be a big help. Overall, this incident opened up a lot of old wounds, but I'm glad it happened. It needed to happen. Your inputs were really helpful to me in making this decision, and I appreciate it. So thanks, guys. All I can say is that I hope both Olivia and I will probably heal from this and move on with our lives.